here, right here in Toronto, and it is 8 o'clock in the morning over in New Zealand, Australia. And my friend, my cousin, is in New Zealand in a place called Waitara in Taranaki, New Zealand. And he's home on vacation because he lives and works in England, in London, England. And he has gone home to his family for a vacation and to visit the family. And I'm going to bring him up here with me right now. And folks, this is exciting for me because Karl has done a lot, and he's been around and he's been doing a lot with Haka Works. He's going to tell you all about that. He's the founder of Haka Works. He's going to tell you about that, but I'm going to dig into a little bit other stuff before. So I'm going to bring him up. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Karl Burrows, my cousin. Kia ora, or Morena, I should say. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, man?
As well. Great to be here together.
Very good. I'll just turn the music off so we can chat there. So, welcome to Maori Churr TV. Wow.
Yeah. Really so love you and being part of your show and part of Talking Voices.
Yeah, thank you, man. This is awesome, and I really appreciate you coming on and you know, because you're in a vacation mode now, and I wasn't too sure if I would call you up and say, listen, won't you come on, and is it okay? I didn't want to disturb you during your vacation, but thank you so much, and I really do appreciate that, Karl. So
because Dino, this is a 3-month vacation because I've come out to London.
Yes.
It's really quite ravaged because of COVID. And of course, New Zealand, there's no COVID at all. So you'll be here. That's why I'm here with family and enjoy the world without COVID.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Well, I'm sure you're enjoying the weather back home too, and plus everything else at home when you go home is the family, the food, the sightseeing, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm sure you're enjoying it back home. So
I had some power quitters last night, just so you know.
Oh. So Karl, let's dig into something here. First of all, let me start out by finding out a little bit about you. Born and raised. Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I'm actually born in Upper Hutt. I was actually born in Upper Hutt. So and raised mainly there, and a place called Waikanai, where my dad is from. My mum was part of the urban migration from the regions, from Waitara, and made his way down to Wellington. And my dad was part of the immigration from Europe, from England, and he made his way down to Wellington as well. And they met and had me there. And then so that's where I was born and raised. And went to university in Otago, and then I spent a lot of time back where mum's from, in New Plymouth, Waitara, Taranaki, those sort of areas.
Right.
But here's my family's in Waitara and also down in Waikanai, Wellington as well.
Right. So so the next thing, when you what were you doing at home when you I guess went to school, and did you qualify in New Zealand? Did you go to a university there?
Yep. I suppose I just what was interesting, if I could say, about my life really is just having we're brought up in suburban New Zealand, and it's quite a familiar story for a lot of New Zealanders, at least. It was like a state housing area or a new growth area with lots of immigrants, so it was pretty rough and tumble. But at the same time, it was a fun childhood. We had a great time. I'm growing up in the 70s and the 80s. But I wanted to get away and went down to Otago University, and I did a law degree down there. And I was really motivated because, not many people came out of our neighbourhood in Upper Hutt, with, I suppose, the privilege of going to university. And I just wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to be able to, it was all, for me, it was about justice, at least at that particular time.
Yeah.
And also we didn't really learn about our Maori heritage at school or growing up. And and why things were different for Maori, in terms of how we lived. I suppose racism that was going on. I mean, it was never overt, as we were children, but it sort of resulted in disparity, I suppose, in terms of education, housing, employment, and wealth, and all those things were. I started to learn about those at university, and I thought law would be a good degree for me to make a difference in terms of the land that was stolen and how we could get it back for our tribes.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Now you now before you went overseas, you obviously like traveled a little bit in New Zealand before you went away, because I know that's what I did before I left New Zealand. I traveled a
Yeah.
little bit around to see New Zealand first. Did you do that after your you
Yeah, well,
graduated and all
after
that?
uni, I mean, I went and I became a lawyer. Well, I
Yeah.
did two things. One, I went back to Taranaki, where I was from,
Right.
and then just embedded myself in the community. So
Right. Yes.
this is where I got involved in kapa haka. I mean, we did kapa haka at university, but haka was, when you go back to where you're from, haka is something different. It's about your connection to your ancestors. It's about your
Yes.
connection to your people, your community, your family. So we learned the old chants and the waiata and the haka from Taranaki. The ones that from down Aotea way, down Pātea way as well.
Yep.
Maybe
Yep.
some of them.
Yeah.
And so it was really. I learned my te reo back in Taranaki as well. We had Huirangi Waikiripuru as one of the tutors. Rua Kiri Hond and Kiri Opai, Te Kauhoi Wano, amongst others, Whare Hoka.
Yes. Yeah, you're fluent in Maori and everything, correct?
Yeah, well, maybe I was 20 years ago when I left. It's been a bit difficult to maintain that level of
Oh my God.
fluency when I've been away for so long. So
I know how you feel,
yeah,
because I've been away for a long time too, and
yeah,
and I've lost all my Maori, but I still know all the old songs, and when I
yeah.
get together with the the families and brothers and sisters and all that stuff, all that
Yeah.
comes out. So yeah, very very interesting though.
But that's the thing, Dino, with waiata, and
Yes.
haka, they stay with you much for a long, long time. They get
Yes.
somehow it's from singing with your heart and moving with your actions, and they get stuck right in your head somehow and stay with you forever.
Yeah, that's so true, because even when I like being over here, when I get together with friends, like my Kiwi friends, and the guys, Wallace Faraday and Tiaka
Yeah.
and all the boys, we get together, and that's one of the first things we do, is that we sing our songs. We got a
Yeah.
guitar, a ukulele, and away we go. So yeah,
And, yeah, you guys are all pretty good at it. You're pretty amazing, and it's lovely to see that continue. We're away from home, but
yes,
bringing out the guitars and just singing songs together from home reminds us who we are and makes us feel like a family again.
that is so true, Carl. That is
Yeah.
so true. And I said to one of the guys the other day, I said, doesn't matter where you are in the world now. When we are out there, you keep your ears and your eyes open, because you may notice, or you may see somebody that's from New Zealand, and you're just you light up.
Yeah.
I know I always keep my ears and eyes open, and just watch out sometimes if I come across somebody, because if you come across a Kiwi, you're going to be in for a good time, because Kiwis are very friendly people, and they love to sing, and they love to talk, and of course they love to eat. So
Yeah.
it's amazing, being on the other side of the world, what we have, what we have seen, and what we have done over here. So
Yeah, and what we appreciate, and people don't appreciate it at home because it's kind of normal. But
yes,
when you leave home, it's the food and the friends and the family and
yes,
the songs that
yeah,
bring us together. So, and luckily, you can still do it online. So just acknowledging you and your singing,
yes,
and your waiata sessions that when you're having this afternoon,
yeah.
they're great. So we can still do it even though we live away from home now.
That is true, and that is something that I never thought I'd be doing, truly, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I never, I was never sort of thinking of getting on a computer or laptop and pick up a guitar and sing and stream it throughout the world, but learning all this and, being in contact with family and friends and with all the friends that I've made now, that around the world, I can sort of, I can entertain people now, especially with this, what's going on with all this COVID and everything. So I get an opportunity now to entertain people, in your own lounge, in your own kitchen, in your own rooms, So it's pretty awesome, man. So and
Well,
you do the same thing too,
well, sing us one of your Taranaki Waita one day.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'll. Well, everybody's always saying to me, "Hey, why don't you sing Poye? You're from Patia, man. You got to sing that song."
That's
Yeah,
not
one
easy.
day.
That was not easy.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. So Karl, now moving overseas, when you left New Zealand, where did you go first, and when did you go?
I went straight to London, and it
Straight to
was
London.
just it was me and my wife then.
Did you know anybody over there?
Did I know? No, but I heard about Ngāti Ranana. So we were
Okay.
at the Kapahaka Nationals in somewhere, Rotorua
Yeah,
maybe, and
yeah,
we come across some people from Ngāti Ranana. It was Fire Jackie, if she's listening.
right,
And she says, hey, there's a lot of people like us, me and my wife,
right.
and so a whole lot of people travel from New Zealand to London, stay a couple of years, and then leave.
Wow.
I didn't stay a couple of years. I'm still there 20 years later.
20 years later.
21.
Well, to tell you the story, that's where I was going to go to England when I left New Zealand. I
Yeah.
was going to
Yeah.
England, but
Okay.
but what happens is that I got this contract because I traveled with the Platters,
Yeah. That's right.
the American singing group, and I got a contract, and the contract led me to Canada. So that's why I ended up over here. And like you said,
Yeah.
like 20 years later, you're still in England. Well, it's almost 50 years. I'm still here in Canada.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So okay. So you set up work over there now. You got yourself all set up there.
Yeah. So well, I was a lawyer, so I went and worked as a lawyer
Yeah.
for 4 years over there, and we had we brought our oldest child, Kimiora, with us.
Right.
Had a couple more children, Tira and Kahu,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so mainly worked as a lawyer. And there was just a point where I just realized, I don't know, that I was working for massive companies, and I got to an age where I thought I don't really want to spend all my energy and time protecting these huge organizations.
Yes.
That's what I wasn't put on earth to do. And well, and it just happens that some of our friends, because I mean, in Ngāti Ranana we do a lot of haka around the region, around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and there were, it's all voluntary, but there were just saw opportunities where Ngāti Ranana couldn't help people because people couldn't take time off work. We just saw an opportunity where maybe we can set up something ourselves and work on a professional basis where we can target parts of that market. So a group of us set up a haka group, and our haka group's called Manaya, and this was established in 2004, at the end of 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so and what Manaya does is so performing kapahaka group, a haka group, and it just it works with New Zealanders. Say it might be at a wedding or a party, or it might be at a festival, it might be a corporate event, and we do some kapahaka songs, or we do some stuff for Tourism New Zealand as well. We do waiata, haka, poi, and cultural, consultancy, I suppose.
Yeah. So you're the one that started Haka Works, eh?
Yeah. Well, from Manaya, well, a couple of things happened. Is everyone who started left, has left just me there. And the funny thing is, to be honest, I mean, I love haka, but my skill, they didn't get me in because I was an amazing haka performer. They were the amazing haka performers. I was there because I was a lawyer, and I suppose they thought I was good at business. And then all the haka performers left, and it's just me. And after a few years, so I mean, I carried it on because and how we made it work was that we got people in to come and perform with us, you know, on a contract basis. So whenever a gig came up, I said, hey, who's available within the team, and then we'll choose the best team that might be suited for that job. And you know, it's only usually we take about 5 performers, sometimes 10, sometimes up to 16, but usually, you know, it's just these small numbers. So we just get the best possible performers that we can from our community. Not just good, they've got to be reliable too. You know, people who are able to turn up on time, look professional, act in a way which is expected for these type of gigs, and as well as perform. So
go ahead.
You go.
Sorry.
Then I'm just saying, in terms of haka works, you know, it's something separate that's developed. I mean, they're connected, of course, but we did this haka gig for IBM, so it was one of our corporate gigs, and then afterwards, the director of one of the directors from IBM come up to us and said, "Hey, we love watching you haka, but what we really want is we want to feel what you feel when you haka together." So we thought, hey, you know, we know what he meant. There's this feeling of being together as a whānau, as a strong collective voice, the power that we feel when we haka together, the sense of unity, the sense of purpose that we have. These are all the sorts of things that not only, well, teams, corporate teams, they want these sort of things in the workplace. So this is where we thought, how can we transfer some of the knowledge or share some of the knowledge that we've been given through haka with others?
Yes. So what I'd like to show here, Karl, is that I got a video of you when you were in Toronto, and this is pretty amazing. I've got a couple of videos I want to show, you know, the people out there. We got a lot of people on watching, by the way. I just wanted to let you know that. And this was sort of the start of the program that you were doing when you were in Toronto. So I just want to show the audience this, and I'm going to go off the screen.
Awesome, well done.
You can talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah, well, that was part of our, just to take you through the whole process, really. I mean, there was a little clip of us teaching the haka words to the haka kamate. So
I do have another one here. I'll show, and I'll put you in the corner, and you can talk anytime you want on it, over it if you want. Let me play this one here.
Just really to give it some context.
Amazing. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, so people, this is generally the whole process. You know, people will think, hey, we've got this conference coming up. We want to bring our people together. We want to show some sort of solidarity, some sense of unity. We want to connect with each other. We want to feel passionate, show our passion and our focus towards achieving our particular goal. So what we do is, this is a good example, I suppose. We were in Toronto for a biogenetics company that was over there. They having a conference, and then I hooked up with a couple of local, or a couple of friends really, that are really good performers. One, Wakapainga, he's from Taranaki as well, a relation of ours. He came from LA. We got him over from LA. And Daryl Hiruini from the East Coast. The Hiruinis from the East Coast, and he's someone I knew over in London and New Zealand as well. So it's lovely just being able to connect with, old friends in places like Toronto. And this is where we caught up with you, Dino. It was a really lovely time. So, I mean, these guys are really awesome performers.
Yes.
Got them up on stage doing haka and with us. And it sort of blows the audience away, they go, what the hell? They've never seen anything like it. So it's a bit of a shock value.
That's right, yeah.
And then, we've got an opportunity then to talk about what haka is and who we are. We start off saying, we are from New Zealand, Aotearoa. We are Polynesians. We are Maori.
Yep.
Our ancestors made their way across the Pacific Ocean and settled in Aotearoa and the many tribes. And then many other people have since come to make New Zealand their home. And then we talk about what haka means, why we do it, or the different situations we do haka, and then, how we use it to sort of bring ourselves together and represent our community in a really strong sense. And then we talk about, we have a number of haka that we teach, just depends on the situation.
Yes,
and
yes.
Sometimes it's kamate, mainly because the guys all know kamate, and also because, kamate is like te rauparaha, going through this transition, facing possible death and then coming out the other side triumphant. So he goes into this dark place, into the pit of darkness, emerges into the light, so it's this journey where somebody goes through a really difficult time and then comes out the other side. So sometimes that haka might be appropriate to the situation. We've composed our own haka as well, which is toka tumuana, which we tend to use in most other situations. And that's about being resilient. So standing strong despite being buffeted by winds and rains or life, whatever life will bring to you.
Correct, yeah.
We stand strong. So after that, then we start, we explain about Maori language, how it works. We take people through the words, as you saw just then.
Yes, yeah.
And then through the actions. Often, more now than ever, we need to have female performers because, people want to see that woman do haka as well. And also that women have different style of haka, than men. And you need people to show that through.
Correct, yeah.
Through the performance.
I want to show something here because I was impressed when I saw this in Toronto. You teamed up with the group in Chicago that same day. Remember this? I'm going to play it for you and then you can talk about it. This is amazing. Hang on. That was amazing.
That's right. Yeah, that was for the Bank of Montreal. They had two conferences happening simultaneously. One in Chicago, one in I think it was Toronto. We had performers in Toronto and performers in Chicago. So we had David Jones and Lewis Waititi, actually from the same area as Daryl Hedawini on the east coast of the North Island. So there was a simultaneous broadcast that was happening at the same time. So we were
that was
teaching
amazing,
two groups
man.
of people. Yeah,
like you had to
two
be
groups
there
of
to
people.
see it. Yeah, that was like everybody was, really shocked. And like I said, you had to be there to see that. And that was, I was totally blown away by that, man. So I'm glad I got that shot,
Yeah, it was interesting because, we started with the conch shell. I think we had the conch shell here in Toronto with you, just to start the haka. And then they were leading it from the other side in Toronto. In Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago,
so and that was really interesting.
That was really cool, man. So, this is you guys here working out before you went on.
Thanks. So we had, for this particular one, we had, Whakapainga is really into his yoga. And anyone who's done yoga know how settling it can be and how it sort of connects you with who your core of your wairu, I suppose. And also anyone who knows haka knows that haka is about connecting with that part of who we are. So it was a really good warm-up routine as well. Yeah, really lucky to have such good performers, based around the world to work with. And of course, we've got a whole bunch in London that we work with all the time. We've got some in Europe. We have people in the United States and Canada. We have people we can work with in Hong Kong and Japan also. So as well as sometimes we send performers over from New Zealand. With Tupoutoʻa, we send them sometimes over to San Francisco if there's work over there. Yeah. We had some people come from New Zealand to work with us in Japan as well.
Yeah, you've traveled around a lot. You've been around to, like, I've followed you to some of the places that you've been to. I've also listened, I know that you also do a podcast too. You have you've had some very, very very interesting people and very talented people on your show that you have, that you've done, and it's amazing because I follow you too, and on there, and it's amazing.
Thanks. Well, I mean, firstly, that started off because of COVID, and then I just really wanted to acknowledge my performers because we couldn't do this without them, and it's exciting for me because we're able to travel, but also provide opportunities for these really talented people who not just good at performing, they're just really good communicators. Yes. So, and it's really important when we do what we do to explain to people, the depth behind haka, because there's always a danger that they'll see it and go, oh, that was out of it, that was crazy, that seemed fun. But you need to go and explain, for people to respect the knowledge that we share with them. Yeah. You need to be quite clear about explaining who we are and why our ancestors did haka and why we're doing haka today and what is the purpose, so that people treat it with the respect that it deserves, And if we show the respect to the knowledge that was passed down by our ancestors, then people can feel that, and they can take that knowledge away with it when they learn the haka as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Karl, for explaining and all that. And, just having you on Talking Voices on Maori Churr TV is, I'm honored to have you on, my cousin on and explaining all this stuff. And I'm just so, so honored to have you on, my friend. Amazing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now you're still living in England, like you said. You're home for 3 months.
Yeah.
And you'll be going back to England, and you're going to continue doing what you're doing is with the haka work and all that.
Yeah, well, it's all changed now, hasn't it? Because of COVID. So what we've started to do is we've gone online. We've had to go online because you can't do conferences anymore.
That's right.
So we're still doing haka team building online, but we also are doing te reo courses. We're teaching people te reo. That's mainly my wife's doing that. We are. I'm doing presentations. So I did a presentation, a talk, keynote, with Microsoft a while back, and it's just looking at what are some of the, I suppose, cultural aspects of Maori culture that we can share with others, that would help them as leaders. And I'm just talking about things like being authentic, the importance of whānau, the importance of kaupapa, or having a purpose that's higher than the individual, more important than the individual, which drives people and unites a team together to help them achieve that common goal. So there's a lot from Maori culture that I think we need to share with the world to make the world a better place,
Absolutely, yeah. And I
because
know I know you have some groups around, like you have or people in the States and around the world too now?
Yeah. Well, just like I was saying before, mainly performers and, but just the importance of a really good network. We've got such a good network of people that we have around the world.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Yeah, because like I know here in the States and Canada, there's a lot of little groups. Kia ora Canada, kia ora the US, and kia ora Washington, kia ora New York and Michigan and Chicago. There's a lot of little groups around, and we all give out the information. We all let each other know what's going on. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the
So
great
it's
thing
amazing.
about being online, Dino, as you know, is that
Yes,
we're able to reach other communities that
yes,
that
exactly.
before we'd have to travel to, which is not always easy and is expensive.
Hmm. Yes,
But through being online, we're able to reach a lot more. So we've tended to do a lot of work for some reason in Singapore, which we do, which for the UK when we were there meant getting up
yeah.
at 5, 4, 3 in the morning. And now that I'm in New Zealand, we've done quite a lot of work for in the US, which means we have to get up at 4 in the morning. So
Yeah.
wherever I go, it seems I have to get up at 4 in the morning to do any work overseas. So
Well, you got up at 8, so you most probably got up at 7 to be on this one.
yeah,
So
that was hard. It was a Sunday here.
that's right. Well, anyway, well, Karl, I just want to thank you for coming on to the show again, and I really, really do appreciate that. And before we leave here, I just want to I want to pull up a picture here. This is one of you and me. We were sitting in Toronto at a friend's
That's
business
right.
there. We had a
Yeah.
bit of a meat pie and a quick corridor, quick chat there. So that was fine when that was great when you were here. And also, this is another good friend of yours and a good friend of mine, and he lives here in Toronto. He
Okay.
lives up in Muskoka. That's Daryl Hirowini. So yeah,
Okay.
Daryl was the one that was on the show with you. And
Yeah.
now coming down to this last picture, I just want to bring this one up because we're at the end of the show here now, and this is your lovely wife and your new addition to the family.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing,
Thank
man.
you. Yeah.
I'm sure everybody at home, was happy to see the,
Oh,
the
thanks,
three of you or
Dino.
the family when you went home. So,
Well, baby's name's Altair, so named after where we come from, really.
right.
It's just a way for us, because we live overseas, we wanted to be reminded of
Yeah.
home and wanted to remind her that she's from Aotearoa,
Hmm.
Ngāti Maru, Te Atiawa, Ngāti Ruanui, I mean. And Te Atiawa, of course, is through our Tokomaru side. Dino, I just want to say, I think probably the most important point I want to get across really is that um, people need to understand that the value of Indigenous culture, how
Yes.
much respect is engendered around the world. And the reason is because we've had a way of working together as a community, which
Yeah.
is a supportive way. Not always, of course, but there are tools within our culture where we support each other
Yes.
as a
Yeah.
community. And as whānau, it's just the concept of whānau and manaakitanga and aroha. We have these tools within our repertoire that help us care about papatūānuku, the earth, the environment. And we plan for a long-term vision for our people. It's not just about when the next quarterly reports are. It's not just
Yes.
about our generation, ourselves as individuals, what we benefit. It's for the future. It's about the future, our children, our mokopuna,
That's correct.
for
Yeah.
1,000 years. So I think this needs to be shared with the world. And we've talked about haka today. Haka is just one tool that we have from
One
our
tool that, yeah.
culture, yeah, which brings people together and makes them feel connected and strong. There are many others that we have within our culture that I think if we share with the world, it's going to make the world a better place. And I mean, there are some issues about what we share and what we don't
Yes.
share,
Yes.
and it's about being really respectful of what we've been given from our ancestors and sharing what we do have in a way which upholds the integrity of that knowledge. And I think we've got to keep pulling ourselves up and holding ourselves to account for things, and keep having
Absolutely, man.
discussion.
Yes.
Yeah. But I just sort of
Absolutely.
finish with that note. There are a lot of opportunities out there, and I'd love to see more Maori in the space. Finding ways to share our culture with the world with
Yes.
integrity.
Yeah, well, we'll just keep on doing what we're doing, Carl. You keep on doing what you're doing. I'll keep on doing what we're doing. We connect everybody
Awesome.
together, and it'll
Awesome.
be awesome. And it was just a pleasure to have you on today, Carl. I really, really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate it. And I know a lot of people out there watching today They really enjoyed it too. And they can also, like, for some of the people that maybe have missed this because they're either sleeping or whatever, they can watch the replays. And I just want to say thank you for coming on, Karl. I really do appreciate that. Enjoy your vacation with the whānau, and say hi to the whānau for me. And I tell you what, my friend, we just keep on plugging away. Keep it going, Karl. Thanks very much.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou wakarongo mai kia hau, kia maua. Ko Dino, ngāmihi ki a koe, Dino, te whanaunga.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Kia ora, bro. Kia ora. Thank you very much, folks. Now, don't forget, I'll be back at 5 o'clock for 5 Alive, right here on Maori Churr TV. Thank you very much, folks.